This is another day and you can see another glitch here in XRP. So you're actually watching different type of price fluctuations going on here. So one is highlighted by Lord XRP and then the next one by Jack the Rippler, showing you the fact that it is showing a huge amount. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Because you directly have to jump into the website, say Binance, and look at what the price of that asset is. So right now it is back to the original level of 0.4866. But if you look at the general market, what do you see? In last 24 hours, there are assets doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% to the upside. And on the other side, you don't actually have a lot of assets which are doing 20, 30, 40% to the downside. Instead, you have few of them doing 2, 3, 4, 5, and a couple of them doing like 15. So you now know which direction the market is going. And then people do look at like, okay, this one is popping to the upside. Why do we think that's happening? I would argue that it is a macro reversal. Say September 23, last month, we actually highlighted the fact that this is a possibility which I see in the price action because of a lot of different issues happening on the trend, the pattern, the structure. And right now, if you look at it, this is what's happening. So that double bottom possibility which we showcased here is now done. So yes, there are hundreds of people who are taking benefit of that for sure. But the idea here is this is investment. This is trading. You don't really have a certainty. What you have is higher odds. So once you jump into the market understanding what the different odds are, that gives you a huge advantage. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Before we continue, please do smash that like button for me. Let that pop through. Now, as we go through the news narrative and all, I would also look at the price action. We want to see how the weekly close and what does that mean for the price action of XRP. Then we want to actually see where we are on a daily chart, what we can expect based on what we have done on the weekly, because we still have a couple of weeks for this monthly candle to get over. And you also have to follow Bitcoin because that's kind of something which is leading the market right now. But yes, we did get these kind of glitch, that kind of. Now, I personally didn't find that, but I'm watching that on the Twitter. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're not lying for sure, which means we do get these glitches every now and then. And as we go through the macro side of things, we understand like, okay, Bitcoin whale wallet surpasses 2019 all-time high. So what's happening? There's a lot of guys who are buying more and more and more of these crypto. And we just saw yesterday, we discussed about the possibility and what's happening with XRP. The whales, the sharks, all of them are buying things like crazy. Why do we think they are doing that, right? So right now it shows XRP increases its popularity in traders. So different metrics actually shows you the number of traders or volume entering into that asset is increasing. One of the primary reasons is the fundamental of that asset is increasing every single day, every single week, every single month. It's actually building throughout these times. Now, when you go on a daily, you can watch the possibility that, yeah, we have actually done this. There was a support, we breached that for a short period of time, we came back up. Again, you have done that. So once you connect that as a standard deviation and plot that through, you kind of saw like, okay, we have done that another time here. So that range looks kind of valid. Now, the RSI is still trending higher, which is a positive stuff to watch for. But the price can still come back down into that range. What does that actually mean? Say, if that shows you a possible move to the downside, that should be somewhere around 0.45, 0.46 range. That is what we are watching on a daily. Now, the weekly just closed here. What does that actually highlight you? I mean, if I'm looking at this, I would say, okay, this is the support level. That's where you have closed the weekly. So that's the micro level of support, which is active now. Then you have the next level of support here, which would be extended to this range, which again kind of falls into that range which we just talked about. So it all becomes a little bit more interesting when we are looking at this on the macro structure, because you do have to keep this in mind. Yes, this is the USD versus the XRP kind of thing. But when you actually go look at XRP, in last video, we actually went through XRP BTC and we saw something. We saw something coming, something big coming. Great. Now we're going on to the XRP Ether. We want to actually see, okay, compared to Ether or in general, the altcoins, how well XRP is going to perform this time around. Because we saw the massive volatility in 2017 era, but we didn't get much of that volatility in 2021 because the SEC screwed this asset back then, right? You saw that massive dump to the downside, which, was not really good. Because if it was actually happening at a time when the market was crashing, say the March 2020, I would have said that, okay, that kind of takes a lot. But here it's SEC doing that. Right now, that thing has been erased and you have not yet reached back to that territory. That means a possible run to the upside should not be neglected. You have a lot of different stuff to watch here. The price is actually doing something like this, which usually is, in technical terms, we call it Adam and Eve pattern. So if you look at that in a different way, you can also put this in a trading range, saying, okay, we are kind of doing this at a time when the RSI is slowly trending to the upside. So against Ether, XRP is showing a possible move to the upside. But the issue is, now we understand the fact that the momentum shift has been changed. Say, here the momentum just shifted to the downside. That was the move to the downside. Whereas after that, you went back up, retested that range, failed, came back down. You made the bottom. Great. You never went below that structure after that. That's something important to see. Like, all this time, the case was still on. Still, compared to Ether, XRP was maintaining that balance. So someone is buying huge whenever it is coming to the downside here. So the market is interested in buying this asset at that point. Now you're watching, the price is slowly trending to the upside. And the resistance has been breached once. It's a fake out, but usually we see that historically, when you have a roof, you breach that once, the next time you go through. You do have volatility, but you go to the upside. You get all these runs. That's how things usually work. Now, yes, that's like a weekly chart. You can go into like a short-term structure, a 3-day or a daily chart to understand what we are doing now. And that is where things get a little bit more interesting. Let's actually watch this and look for the trend line here, where you find that, okay, we had the structure, we broke through, we had that bounce, but when you're coming back down, you're still respecting this range of support resistance. That shows like, okay, the price has not actually gone back down to that range. It is still consolidating there. So on a macro structure, say a monthly chart of XRP versus Ether, this is what you're watching. I mean, one of the easiest thing which we all say, and it is easy to say, but really hard to do, is buy low and sell high. I mean, how low can it actually go? Now, yeah, there is a point where things go down, 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 down. You just buy, and the prices drops. But is that what we are watching, or is there something different happening? Like the underlying stuff in the market. What does that show you? I mean, if I'm looking at a monthly chart like this and plotting this resistance, seeing like historically from 2019, the time you went below this, that was a huge resistance. So that's like 46 in the RSI on a monthly. Each time you come back up, that range kind of pushed the price back to the downside. Now you're above that. 1, 2, you're coming back down to retest that and slowly trying to bounce back up with 1 data point here, 2 data point here, 3rd one on which we are working now. So any move to the upside this month kind of shows you the idea, yeah, we are about to go back up. Usually, you kind of simply plot a structure like this and you would actually put that argument. Once you do this, you retest, you bounce. This is your confirmation. Then you go nuts. It go in a rally mode. So that's something we want to keep an eye on. Now, obviously, this is against Ether. So if you take that perspective into the USD structure, the run up should be much, much higher, because I'm not saying just Ether is going to go to zero and XRP is going to stay where it is right now. Because if you have that doubt, you can actually go onto the Ether chart and look at this. Now, I wouldn't say that the price of this asset won't go down, because if it's me, I'm concerned with all that's happening with that protocol. Now they gave a lot of different stories about the POS, the movement from POW to POS, but I don't really see much of that strength there. What I'm looking at here is like a structure which doesn't actually look really good, and if that's breaking to the downside, for that asset, it's going to be worse. I mean, it's really going to be worse. Now, you do have a key support to watch in price action terminology. Say if you raise all of this and come to a blank page where you want to start new, you can actually put the argument like, okay, we got a reversal signal here. We retested that bottom and bounced off. So more or less, that's our bottom. So that means you can still say Ether can drop back to this range. And maybe that's what we are watching. When Ether is dropping for some reason, XRP is still staying there. And that's what XRP Ether chart is showing. That is also a possible movement in the market. But again, that's again one just thought process. But if you actually go look at Bitcoin on that side, there's a daily chart of Bitcoin. We haven't actually moved beyond that point. The market is trying to test the patience level as much as possible. This level has been active for some time. It is still staying there, holding all these data points each and every time. That kind of gives you an easy idea of which direction the market is going. Because if you breach this level, now that's like the bull season has already started there. Now, for me, when I'm looking at this, I would say, okay, look at this, guys. This is something really interesting happening here. The price dropped, great. You did this range, you tried to go upside, you get rejected, but you do make a trend to the upside, and you make a double bottom there, and then boom. That's a possibility. That means after this, I mean, I don't think you're going to directly go to the upside. I think we may actually come back down, testing that range, and bounce back to the upside. That's a possible move I'm looking at in this market. Now, last time when we did that in the market, we did not actually go back all the way down to test these lows, right? You were kind of making a higher low structure each time. Say you zoom in and you look at what the whales or the algorithms are doing. You can see, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is barely a higher low. So the structure kind of shows you that idea, okay, I'm still making higher lows. I'm not changing any direction there. You break above the moving average, retest that, and then go back up. That I think is happening here. You broke above the moving average, you're retesting that, you kind of do a fake out, and you're moving back. Now, to add more data points, what you can actually do is to look at what the RSI was showing you back then and what happened during this time. Say, when the RSI was moving like a trend line to the upside, this happened. When the RSI broke to the downside, keep this in mind. When the RSI broke to the downside, the price didn't drop like a stone making a new low. Rather, it made a new local low to go back to the upside. Now, come back to the current scenario. This is where we are right now. You broke to the downside, so you are here, somewhat here, right? You're retesting that range. Most likely, we're going to get rejected. We're going to make that double bottom and then start the move back to the upside. So I think there is a lot of similarity in the recent past. For some reason, the price action is repeating that. Now, what does that mean? I mean, guys, this is like $15,000 per Bitcoin, and we saw this pattern. We went to the upside. We did a massive consolidation, tiring all the patience, wearing that out. Right now, we're showing that, okay, we've done something like this before. We traveled from that 15,000 range all the way back up to like 30,000. What if we're going up to 50,000 next time? We're going to do another 100% move from here, give or take. We breach that 50K. First thing to keep in mind is the day you see Bitcoin breaching this level, which is around 31, 32,000, people, the market, everyone is going to start FOMO in. And that's why as soon as you break through those range here, that's not too much from here. If you actually take the idea of movement, it's just 13%, 15% move. And Bitcoin has done that, over and over again in just a few days. If you look at this run up, the V-shaped recovery in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you have already done 30-35%. So in a month, we can actually do that. And once we breach through that, that's when the actual FOMO comes into the crypto market. Now, at that time, you want to actually see like, okay, how well positioned are we in XRP? Because we're staying inside this assets, holding it strong. We want to see both the positive and negative side of this. If you're looking for the negative side of this, I can actually say, if I want to be super critical about this asset, I would say, okay, there is a possible movement coming in the market like this. So if you breach 0.47, it's a dead zone where you can actually push the price 50% down, which would actually take you all the way down to 0.25. That's something you need to keep in mind. But now the actual point becomes like, okay, where do you actually get that data point? It actually comes in here. Now, how much supports do you have in between, and what's the validity of those supports? If it's a historical support which is valid on a monthly chart, most likely it's going to stay, it's going to hold, it won't break. That's something which we have seen historically. Now, we go back into that range, we go into a daily chart, and we want to understand what that actually means. Meaning, if the price is going to come back down even towards 0.41, 0.42, are your buyers moving out? Are they actually getting out of this asset? You want to actually understand that. Is the price going down and people moving out, or the institution moving out, or are the institution entering by pushing the price down each time? That may sound crazy. Give me a moment. Go back up here and look at the price action. When the price was going up, keep this in mind. When the price was going up, RSI was not going up. The strength was reducing. You see that? So the price was being pushed up, and the whales and financial institutions were exiting. They pushed the price up, exit massively. Push it up, exit massively, because pushing up is based on the 24-hour volume. You look at the market participants, if the volume is low, you can do that easily. You push the price up, you exit massively. And we watched that last time. So what if this is the exact opposite of what we are talking about? That means they will push the price lower, buy as much as possible. For some reason, the RSI is showing you that. You have that divergence. Someone big is entering each time the price is going down. And I don't think it's just price going down and they're buying. These financial institutions and whales don't care about us. We have to care about ourselves. That's why we take time to go through all this and give you this idea. Say, when you actually look at this and say like, okay, that's popping through, that's just a start. Yeah, if you miss the initial 50%, that kind of reduces your ROI, but you understand the macro narrative. And if you're looking for that, you can actually join all these hundreds of people here in the SI family and take benefit of that. To join, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So if you haven't hit that like button yet, please consider doing that. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.